must say welcome, season 2 of last season. It was Saturday night discussion, but we changed it. I know it's Friday night discussion. We may need to change the name overall to something another else type of discussion, but it is good to be back this season. For tonight's show, only we are on YouTube, and so it's going to be a task because we will have to encourage people to join us on YouTube, and to which I am about to do now to go ahead and share this YouTube page. My name is Erraldo Budhan, and typically we would have had Geraldine Garwood, clinical psychologist. But tonight, our esteemed guest host, counseling psychologist Sosheina Whyte, is with us, and we will be discussing the matters of crime and violence in Jamaica. And just to let everyone know that we are on YouTube only for tonight. It won't be a thing where we'll be on YouTube only going forward, but we're on YouTube only for tonight. You see me on my phone. I'm trying to find the current live now so I can share it to my Facebook page, and so that we can share it to other Facebook page so that other persons can know that they should join us and watch what we are doing tonight. All right. So Sheena, how are you doing tonight?
I am well, Erraldo. I should say welcome to season 2. I'm excited to be here.
Yes.
This is really a fun, educational, informational program. And of course, I'm so excited about season 2. And I'm excited especially about tonight's topic, crime and violence. So I'm gearing up to hear our guest.
I am super duper excited about tonight's topic as well, and super duper excited to introduce to us our guest for tonight. She is an attorney at law. She is a woman of God. She's a church girl. She is a pastor's wife. And so many things. She's an author, and she goes by the name Ann-Monique Bailey-Hutchinson. And may I dare to say, she is looking stunning tonight.
Thank you, Bishop Budhan, and good evening to you, Sosheina, and everyone who is viewing at the moment.
Ann-Monique, thank you so very much for taking up the task tonight to join us. This is our season 2. Last season we would have completed roughly 8 topics, Sosheina being on most of our programs as a guest and as co-host and all of that, as we delve into some really serious issues. And this year is not going to be anything lighter, but we're going heavy as we're starting out with crime and violence. Last year, the program came out of the stem of the occult practices of Kevin Smith, and that spiraled into many other topics that we look at from a standpoint of psychology and a standpoint of theology. Tonight is interesting because tonight we're looking at things from the standpoint of psychology, theology, and law. Sosheina is a counseling psychologist extraordinaire. And so she will be attacking the psychological aspect of how we observe crime and violence, and probably touch on some sociological stuff too. Because to me, anytime we talk about psychology of crime and stuff like that, social psychology, we dabble into a few sociological conversation.
Yeah.
And give me 1 second. And so we're looking at crime and violence in tonight. But before we even go into crime and violence, Ann-Monique, tell us just a little bit about yourself. And how you even got into law.
Boy, Erroldo, that's the hardest question an interviewer can ask an interviewee. But I am a quiet individual, mostly introverted, a Christian for 23 years now. Practicing Christian, not just dipping out the water and thing. A practicing
Mm-hmm.
Christian for 23 years. A lover of anything youth, purpose related, community development related, evangelism related. I love reading, I love writing, love editing, and I practice law professionally for now. Who knows where it will go? I ended up there in law by, it has to be God. So that's why I'm still involved in law at the moment, because it happened in such a way I cannot discuss it on air right now, because it, to me, even though I am like, God, it had to be you. If you
Yeah.
read my book, you'll see it in the book, a little bit of it in my book, Paralyzed by Perfection. So I'm also a published author as well. And yeah,
And a publisher.
and a publisher along with my
Yes.
husband, the Minister Leroy Hutchinson, who Erraldo has promoted to pastor
Always.
tonight.
Always call him the Pastor Hutchinson. What Anne-Monique has at a young age has a lot under her belt, and I think for this 1 hour program, I think Anne-Monique, to start us off, you will be the lawyer this week. Next week we'll be having superintendent of police to talk about pretty much the same topic as we're looking at it from different angle. You can't
Yeah.
speak per se from the angle of law enforcement, but more so on the justice side. I hope I'm getting all the legal terms correct. We're on the side of justice in terms of um, knocking down the hammer and say quiet in the courthouse, that type of thing. Um, so let's get it all started. Crime and violence in Jamaica is a serious thing. It's not new, and we would have expected that because of COVID and because of certain limitations that the government would have put on movements, that crime would have actually dwindled. However, statistics can prove that crime has actually
Increase.
increased during the COVID era, and there's so many things, and I know Sosheina can tell us why so many things would have caused the increase of crime and violence from a psychological standpoint. Um, we're looking at what can we do as a government, what recommendation can we give to the government, and also what can the people do when it comes on to crime and violence. So before we even go and attack the myriads of questions that I may have for Anne-Monique, I just want Sosheina to open her with her opening statement, your view and understanding of crime and violence in Jamaica.
Okay. Good night again. So, crime and violence is really an expensive. It's really a gut wrenching, heart rending kind of an issue that is increasing or has been increasing over the years. And no matter how much a crime plan has been put in place or persons are trying to attack the whole issue of crime, violence, deviance, things like that, over and over again, sometimes it seems like a bottomless pit. You're unable to touch it. You're unable to fill it up. You're unable to stop the whole idea of crime and violence, right? So it's something that is very pronounced in our society, and it's something that has, for the most part, a negative effect, not just on our justice system or not just on our society at large, but also on individuals who have been the victims of crime and violence, individuals who are relatives of persons who have been the victims of crime and violence, and needless to say, the family members or relatives to persons who are the perpetrators of crime and violence within our society. So when we look at crime and violence, a lot of times it is often from the limelight of, okay, what can we do to stop this individual from committing this particular crime? How do we treat with like felons and so on? But when we pan the issue of crime and violence, we're going to see that there are different components that will contribute to the crime that exists, the level of crime that exists, and violence that exists. And you mentioned the whole pandemic, the curfew, as two factors that, we kind of figured would have had a particular effect on the rate of crime and violence. But of course, we are witnessing an opposing effect. So we have a lot to explore when it comes on to the different factors that contribute to crime and violence. Normally, when you think of crime and violence, you just think of something, somebody shoots somebody, murder, gangs, that kind of a thing. But of
Yeah.
course, as I said, when we panic, we realize that there are other factors, deep-seated, deep-rooted factors that do contribute to crime and violence and the levels of it.
Wonderful opening statement, and I agree with you. When we do think of crime and violence and hear the word crime and violence, the first thing comes to mind is gunman run on somebody and shoot them, or
Yeah.
police and thief, and there's so many other aspects to that falls under crime and violence, and so many factors that push people to commit specific felonies. Now, Ann-Monique is the legal mind here, and while you and I may not know exactly legally what to say from a counseling standpoint, we know to address certain things, but legally, Ann-Monique, as a legal officer, what's your view on crime and violence in Jamaica today?
Erraldo, it is out of hand. It has gone haywire, and I think one of the ministers, he was a minister at the time in the cabinet, indicated that we at this point need divine intervention, and that's the only thing that can help us right now. And
Mhm.
I tend to agree that we certainly need divine intervention right now. It is at such a state that fear has become a normal part of life for so many people, despite even us as Christians, despite the fact that the Bible says we ought not to fear. The realities happening around us right now kind of test our faith a little bit and test
Yeah.
our tendency to fall into fear. Um, it's in a bad way. And based on the response of the government, um, don't mind my fingernails right now. I'm not affiliated with any particular party. So, so, so if I say anything about the government, it's not because I'm affiliated with any particular party. I just felt like being bright this month. So, anyways, based on what I'm seeing right now, the government is as confused as we are as to what to do about the current crime situation. And as a legal officer, I might not be in the court as a crown counsel or a clerk of court prosecuting criminal matters per se, because that's not what my day-to-day job looks like. But I do prosecute otherwise, just not in the criminal court. We are doing the best with the little that we have, and
Mhm.
hoping for the best, hoping to see the government actually do something about what is happening right now. Because people say it's not the government who is committing the crime. But unfortunately, as a leader, everything rises and falls on leadership. So if our leaders aren't doing what they ought to do, then something is going to go awry. And right now, the thing that is going awry is the state of crime and violence in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I love what you said. The government is as confused as we are. I think it is at one point. It was within the time when current Prime Minister, the Honorable Andrew Holness, was running for office. He said that persons could sleep with their doors open,
And windows
um,
open.
and windows open, and
I
and, and, and,
remember.
and and persons were railing. And I am not affiliated with any political party. Just putting that out there. I've never voted in my entire life. I'm a Jamaican citizen. Me just not find nobody good enough for me to vote for. Um, but I remember that was the anchor of his campaign. You could
Yeah.
sleep with your windows open. If you live in Portmore, I would advise you not to, because the mosquitoes will eat you alive. But against, it was the aim of sleeping with your windows open and stuff like that. And then uh, gaining power and becoming the lead of the lead of government and lead of the country, I think national security was under, and I can be corrected, was under the office of the prime minister at one point, somebody did this somewhere near the office of the prime minister. The point I'm trying to make is the government is definitely confused as to what to do with the
The crime
rate of
situation.
crime
Yes.
and violence in Jamaica.
Mhm.
And there's so many things, so many contributing factors, and one of the contributing factors, and may I dare to say, one of the contributing factors is the police force that should be enforcing the law. There are criminals within the police force that's
Definitely.
guiding the criminal activities, and there are criminals within the political arena. So it's as if we have no angle, because the persons that we're looking for to help us reduce the crime and violence, they
Mhm.
are pushing it. I don't think it's a functionalist theory, but there's this thing in sociology that says there's a place in
Okay.
society for crime. There is a place in society for crime. Legal officers who prosecute can't get no job if they don't have nothing to prosecute.
There's
So
no
there is a
crime. I'd rather be unemployed than have to prosecute crime. Trust me.
but sociologists say, there's a place, and we cannot accept that there is a place, and we can't expect that everybody's going to be pure and
Good.
holy
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But is the contributing factor now, Ann-Monique? I don't know, Sosheina, if you have anything to say in response to Ann-Monique's statement. The thing that pulled me is the confusion of the government.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, and there is, if we are being genuinely honest, there is also a sense of hypocrisy when it comes on to the whole matter of crime and violence and how it is that it is dealt with and so on. And that is what also contributes to the confusion
Yes.
in the government system. Now, of
Yeah.
course, before we get on to the solutions or whatever, we turn the spotlight on what is considered to be criminal, what is not considered to be criminal, what are the
Mm-hmm.
consequences for different actions. Because for far too long, and I will go back again and say this as it pertains to the definition of crime and violence, when it comes on to what you think when you hear crime and violence, it's always the murder, and it's always, somebody murder suicide kind of a thing, or burglary, that kind of a story. But we don't talk about the white collar crime. We don't talk about other things, the fraudulent things and the money laundering in a
Mm-hmm.
pretty environment, those kinds of a thing. And so if those things are happening within a particular realm, then on what platform are you now going to stand to eradicate crime and violence, so to speak? You follow?
Mm.
So with a
Yeah.
lot of things that are happening, if we want to deal with crime and violence, we have to put everything out there and have a particular structure. So I do agree with Ann-Monique. The government is confused. You start off doing something and you think you could have this under control for this particular reason, but as the
Yeah.
years progress, you realize that ain't nobody taking no chat from you now, right? So sometimes the same people that you empower turn around and you're not taking no chat from you, that kind of a thing, and you now are in a state of awe, like, how am I now going to deal with and control the monster that is crime?
Is it good response, Sosheina. The white collar crime. Just like you have white lies, the white
Mm-hmm.
collar crime. We don't look at
Mm-hmm.
it. We don't
We
look. We don't
don't
pay much
know.
focus to it for real.
It's
We don't pay
treated
much
different.
focus
It's
to
not
it.
even considered a crime unless you're probably caught or whatever. It's not considered a crime. But when we
I
say
think
crime and violence, boom.
the white collar crime, for example, you mentioned money laundering a while ago, fraud and so on. I think poverty has affected how persons viewed certain white collar crime, because in some case people say, well, you have to do what you have to do to get some money,
Mm-hmm.
and people are doing what
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
they are doing the only way they know how. Some people excuse it on that basis, that people just to try to get some money and nobody was hurt in the
Mm-hmm.
process
Yeah.
except who
Mm-hmm.
taken out the ticket.
Right.
That's how some people view those kind of offenses. Nobody was killed, nobody was physically harmed. So as a result of that, it's not a big deal. So they tend
Mm-hmm.
to push aside those kind of crime, not realizing that violent crime, it needs funding. And the way it is funded is through some of these soft, white collar looking kind of crimes, money laundering, lottery scamming, and so on. And even lottery scammers, they need protection. And when they need protection, who do they go to? They go to the violent criminals. And then so the cycle continues. They need somebody may not have given somebody scam somebody. They not give another party, a member of the scamming group, a portion of their correct portion of money. So you know what? We'll take off the one day. There goes a murder right down there. So it's all connected, but because they don't realize that there is more to white collar crime than just scamming somebody or writing a check in somebody else's name. People say, well, nobody will get hurt, so it's not a big deal. And that is awareness of the nature of crime is also something that we have to do as the government, make people become better aware of what the big deal is about these different type of crime, criminal activities.
I learned today interestingly, I learned today that the lot of scamming and that kind of thing, you call foreign and you scam the people and so on. It's a whole entire organization. And I learned today that you have a list. Apparently, you have a particular list. I don't remember what it is called. I think it's called lead sheet, right? And I learned about that today. And so you pass the information on from one person to the next of the chain of command in a particular order. And if somebody else in the rival organization gets your lead sheet, then they can undercut you and that kind of a thing. And we say, all of them something you're keeping us scamming. I understand, say a big organized something. I think you just take your banger phone, like the chopper them, and you just like a little car, and then cash up according to the man in this song about instant warrant. I just thought it was that. But then you understand, of course, that with that, if it is that somebody find out that you undercut them, this organization, so on and so forth, then that's how the bang bang and the pow pow also comes in when it comes on to crime and violence. So everything is interconnected.
Yeah,
I can't wait to talk to to the SSP next week, because this organized crime, it would be so shocked to know that the criminal world is very organized,
So
very, very, very organized.
Very organized.
Structure that they work with, and they have to work with that structure.
There is. I was listening to a recent court case, because Ann-Monique, at one point I wanted to be a lawyer, and I was still checking out in all the studying I'm doing. It was last year I was looking at a doctor of a juris doctor. And so pray for me, because I shouldn't be studying anything else. But I was listening to a very recent case in the Supreme Court with the Klansman gang. And to hear the language of the court is very, it's hilarious and interesting and beautiful to me. The language of Jamaica. You have to say "my lord" and "my lady" and all them nice stuff there. But when I was listening to it, and they were explaining the structure of the gang, and who are footman from, who are this man from, who are that, and who reported that them have more structure than some places, than some business workplaces. And these people put so much effort into these criminal organization, that it becomes a part of them. If they should write a resume, they would write on their resume, farmer, foot soldier, blah blah blah, with the responsibilities of X, Y, and Z, to how detailed they are. The philosophy of Robin Hood, the Robin Hood philosophy, to steal from the poor, to steal from the rich and give to the poor. As while I don't agree with Robin Hood on stealing overall, this is Robin Hood philosophy 2.0, because they must steal from all the poor too. They must steal from the poor, and they're not steal from the rich no more. They're stealing from everybody. But
everybody's a victim.
Everybody's a victim. But while Ann-Monique is not on grounds like a police officer who we'll be talking to next week, but she's more on the legal side of this, do you think, Ann-Monique, that the government, the legal system better, has the time, the resources, and the manpower to properly prosecute felons and persons who have been apprehended and charged for their involvement in crime. And let me just put an anchor here, so because enough cases me here in a court where they are court for about 10 years now, and I'll know it no resolve.
Yeah, that is so. So that answers your question right there. Do we have enough manpower, time, resources? No, we don't, and that affects, because if a man is on a charge for a long period of time, and nothing is going on, the trial is not going on for that matter, and so on, the judge is going to want to know what Madam Prosecutor or Sir Prosecutor is causing the delay in prosecuting this matter. If the prosecutor's explanation is not sufficient to suit the judge is going to be like, well, you need to do something about this matter, and you go back and you consult with Madam Director of Public Prosecutions. Based on how the case might look at that time, witnesses might be dead. Persons are intimidated by the offender and all of these things. So the next best thing is to say, my lord, as it is, our witnesses are not available and we do not have sufficient evidence to proceed with this matter. There goes the matter, criminal is let loose. Well, you're considered to be innocent until proven guilty. So I won't say criminal is back on the loose, but there goes a possible convicted person, a person who could have been convicted for an offense, gone back out on the loose, and possibly back to reoffending. And so because prosecution is made up not just of the attorneys who go to court and prosecute the matters, the police officers are also a part of the prosecutorial body. So is it enough manpower? You have 50 different murders committed. Just the other day, over 15 days, 72 murders were committed over a period of 15 days. Police officers it's not just one police investigate that offense, You have police officers who deal with the forensic side, police officers who then go ahead and deal with the cyber side of it. You have police officers out there taking statements, collecting, going to see witnesses and all of these things. So many different arms of the prosecutorial process. And if all of those persons are involved in solving the newest 72 murders committed over a 15-day period, how are they going to then pay attention to the 1,000 odd that were murdered last year?
Yeah.
And the 1,000 odd that were murdered, and the 68 from 1962 until now? How are they going to try and resolve all of these issues whilst dividing their attention between the increased number of violent crimes being committed, as well as the other kind of crimes that are being committed? Attorneys are prosecuting violent crimes. They're prosecuting the white collar crimes. They're dealing with matters under various acts. It's a lot. Is there enough resources, manpower, and time? No, I don't believe so. And because persons are so stretched as prosecutors, it has a high turnover rate based on what I've seen. And it's government, so you don't know, so it's not necessarily the fattest
paycheck coming in
at the end of the month, So that doesn't motivate you either. So the workload that you have to deal with, and the limited resources. So it's tight, Erraldo. It's difficult. So I would not say that there is sufficient resources or manpower at the moment to handle the crime situation in Jamaica right now.
I don't know how this is where you come in, because I don't know how the court system work, but for legal matters, do we usually have bench trial more versus a jury trial? One thing I can tell you that it seems that the court system uses a lot is the term of continuance. Me tired of case now. I push the case then push till then push it, the case push. After arraignment, it's like no happen next. The case was a continue because I've experienced family court. While we're talking about legal matter, I remember doing my first degree, I had to go to family court for a while, and the amount of time me here said this a case I put off till next year, we in a February, and the case put off all the way till January. And me feel away because the child need to go to his parents, and the case put off all the way till why. So my thing is, what type of judicial boy, the legal language is funny. I may just love use the term. So I don't know if I use them right. But what kind of judicial action is done in the court system? Is it a bench trial and a jury trial? Why the case them move so slow?
Why? I can't. It's because of the tight resources. That is one thing. It's because of the increasing crime rate right about now. It's because of the social situation in Jamaica right about now, especially in family court. So family court is 1 minute. Yeah, sorry. Family court right now is overwhelmed with different issues concerning the children and the family. All the various courts are overwhelmed. Civil, trafficking. People have no respect for laws. Right about now, I could go off. I don't want to go off on a tangent. The courts are overwhelmed right about now. Because of COVID-19, there has been more of a tendency to do bench trials where it's just the judge alone. In the parish courts, it's the judge alone. In the Supreme Court and Court of Appeals, for example, in the Court of Appeal, you have a group of judges then sitting to determine a matter. In the Supreme Court, it's more often than not jury trials that take place, and that's a whole process right there. So since 2020 to 2022, a lot of matters have been put up because you can't really do social distancing right about now in the courts that we have. The courts are not the biggest thing. So because of that, jury trials are not necessarily happening much right about now. In some areas, they're trying to get juries to convene and all of that, but it's not happening as much as it would generally happen. Matters are still being tried by judges alone, and defense counsel, they're not necessarily friendly towards bench trials only because a one man alone decide your client's fate. While you can play on the emotions of there and all of that and say, look at this handsome looking gentleman. Do you really believe somebody who looks like this and an educated person, formally educated person is on the jury with a degree and this background in whatever? Do you believe one, this good looking person, one, this wealthy person, two, this educated person, formal educated, would commit such a crime like that? You play on the emotions of the jury. And as a defense counsel, you use that to your advantage. The judge is sitting up there. The judge knows the law and the judge understands the fact. He's the one who is now judge of law and facts of the circumstances. You can't play with a judge like that. So defense counsel don't necessarily want to leave the fate of their clients in the hand of one man or one woman. So because of that, a lot of matters are being adjourned to far dates. But it's you don't just push off, because now they are trying their best to do what we call case management, and they're trying their best also to maintain what they call trial date certainty. So when you set a trial date, unless God come on that day, for some judges, you're not put off this matter today. You're not putting off. You're going to start whether or not your lawyer, call your lawyer and tell the lawyer, say the matter is going to start today, even if it is to take one witness. So that's trial date certainty in order to assist the case management process. You know, have people put in place called case progression officers that will monitor how the case is progressing through the system. They have certain responsibility to make sure the file is at a certain stage by a certain time. So they are trying, but with the limited resources, it's a little bit difficult.
So the legal system, Sosheina, go ahead.
What I wanted to ask is, because I'm looking at the whole solution as well as the problems in one whole circular
Yeah.
thing. And I'm wondering, and you can help with this, if we begin to restructure
Yeah.
the legislative, right? I'm not too kosher like Erraldo on some of the word, but like the legislative over here, so right? And you start to restructure certain aspects of the solution to crime that you have out there, your court system, this, that, you start to look at all of those things in a broader picture. Would that now be able to decrease crime to a certain extent that would now alleviate some of the pressures to say that you don't have enough personnel or so on? Because yeah, we not have enough personnel, but what if we with the resources that we have, we
Put
try to
laws in
create
place.
right laws and different things in place. Like if you commit a crime, this is a serious something. We're not joking with you, blah, 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 those kinds of a thing. So that it kind of ease the pressure off of the personnel. Because if you are to go before the court, for example, and then it keep on, I get a continuance over and over again, then the people them on the street are going to think, boy, the system, the legal system is a joke.
It's a
So
play
me
play.
can right, so me can continue to do what me want to do out there because them things then are serious, man. Me can stretch it go here so or stretch it go there so or me can call upon a big name person and they come and they do something for me and me get off and then me go over and over and on again in this cycle. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if there is a relation, a correlation between the legal structure, the legislative system, and the crime and violence, the level of crime and violence that is out there, as it relates to even how the resources are allocated. Do you think that by getting more, be having more resources or more money, funds or whatever allocated to the system, we can fix that and therefore reduce crime? Is it a reflection of how we see crime, the resources that we give? Is it how we see crime? And, oh, that's just a little thing. Or are we, to be called to say, all right, let us do what needs to be done, iron out the kinks so that later on, we have less crime and the resource persons and so on are not pressured.
I I I I I I would think, I would love to think that if more resources are assigned to this particular part of the system as it relates to justice, the legal system, then yes, we would be better able to handle certain matters in a quicker time period. We have more judges who can deal with more trials. We have more prosecutors. We have more courts across, bigger courts, all of these things. If we had more resources assigned to the legal system to make sure that the persons are, you have enough legal officers assigned to a particular department or agency or a division of government and so on. If that were the case, I believe matters would be dealt with in a more timely manner, and people would not be under so much pressure then, so that sometimes you can't focus on one matter too much. So the more serious one, you're like, all right, let's put all our energy and resources into prosecuting this particular matter. So the one that we think is small slips through the crack, Resources, a big part of it. Whether or not the the lawmakers then, whether or not they if they make certain changes to the law, it would help. I too believe. I believe that would also help because some laws don't have any teeth. That people,
They
well,
call me bad.
yeah, just
$100.
move on. Yeah, no, all bark and no bite. And because of that, persons aren't necessarily scared to commit certain crimes. People will run a stoplight, and my husband tends to say that if you see a red light and you blatantly run the stoplight, that's a criminal act, And if you do that, he wouldn't put it past you to commit another crime because we all start somewhere. We
Yeah.
start being bad from somewhere, So if you can run a stoplight, and because one, no cameras are there to catch that person when he goes. Cameras are only at certain stoplight. No cameras are there most stoplight to see when the man run the stoplight. And even when a camera may catch that person running the stoplight, because so people have bigger fish to fry. So them don't really have the time or the resource to go ahead and chase down that one man who run the stoplight yesterday. You know, so if the laws were so powerful and so stringent that persons would be like, you know, if I run that stoplight, I run the risk of one, serving prison time, not just paying a little fine, you know, because generally pay this fine or 10 days, pay this fine or 30 days, boom. Everybody go pay the $5,000 and boom, and you're gone back. Go do the same thing again. You drive out to the courtyard and broke the stoplight and gone right back again, reoffending over and over. Because they know that one, the fines are small. If any, you have fines so low, I remember there was this big deal about a fine the other day.
$100 miss. $100. I think it was Kesha Miller. $100. Right?
So when you look at laws, when you look at legislation like that, and you're like, oh well, I can commit that offense and pay me the fine and gone and go do it again. So if we would take a deeper look at our laws that are currently in place, at the legislation that are currently in place, aimed at dealing with the crime problem, whatever kind of crime it might be, we would adjust them so that they fit the crime, so that people see that justice is not only being done, it is seen, and feel the power of the teeth of justice against a person. So that if a man
and that's why I asked the question, you know, that is exactly where I am as a psychologist, you know. That's why I asked the question, because I want the legal person to pick it up, you know, one bust out first from psychology and your ear say, oh, we into this, you know. But it's true. You live in a particular society, and if the consequences for crime or criminal activities is a joke, if a man disrespect me, and I find out, say, boy, at 3 months in jail or whatever it is or so. And the man, if me disrespect him back, so to speak, right? The way the disrespect but me would diss him, you know. And go sit down and spend the 3 months, you know, and come back, you know, because when we think of how it is that people's feelings are connected to why they do certain things, why they act out of character, or why they even act in character, if the consequences are not severe enough to pull them back in life, then people will sacrifice that.
Yes, it's supposed, because you're prosecuting an individual is also supposed to act as a deterrent. You know, it's supposed to deter them from wanting to recommit, reoffend. But because they know that if we do this, maybe the pay one little fine, serve a year or 2 or 6 months, we're good to go again. You know, so they keep doing it. They keep doing it, but changing laws, it takes time and it takes resources. And so for some, it might not be. It might, for some. Sometimes the only time people do something about something is when they are affected by something. When crime come knocking on some people's door, that is the only time they will see, you know, me need to go back to Parliament and bring the bill here in a Parliament and discuss this and sort it out. Only then will they see the seriousness of the situation in Jamaica. You don't wish the worst for them, but only then, if it affects you, will you begin to do something about it. So I hope that the legislators they will see that and not wait until crime come knocking on their doors.
True.
I love that, and I'm going to push this question. I had this question for Ann-Monique, but I'm going to push this question first to Sosheina as a counseling psychologist, because it's pretty interesting to know that during this period. By the way, the Prime Minister of Jamaica had now gone back to regularizing everything. We can now go back to our regular life, based on the announcement.
Argument done.
Argument done.
No, I really like Ann-Monique.
So
I'm not drawing a breaks. Right. Aye.
So it's a whole lot of stuff. Crime and violence. The question was, do you think crime and violence has increased during COVID? We all know the answer. And the answer is yes. But before we get it from a legal standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, and we're going to pull on sociology, well, don't necessarily, but social psychology. So, Sheena, why do you believe during the pandemic, when people supposed to get them yard lock up a try if it not catch
What
COVID,
mean?
we have enough more killing a go on?
What mean? Because now is the perfect time to strike. Because I know exactly where you're going to be. What I mean? The Prime Minister said, "Yeah, that may have beef with you." What you mean? Sorry. What a total setup, right? Quickly. And the man say, everybody must tell her, yeah, what do you mean? No, man, we rise up the care and come for you, can't know where you're at, you know? But outside of that, though, we really have to laugh. Outside of that, though, we also have to take into consideration that when the pandemic hit, from a psychological perspective, when the pandemic hit, a lot of persons, they were out of jobs, for example. A lot of persons, their income, income was affected. And, you know, they just didn't know what to do. People lose them jobs. Like, all right, what am I going to do to sustain my family from an economic standpoint? And so you find that a lot of persons now decided, all right, I have to turn to crime to either get what it is that I was owed or try to rip off some place, burglary, vandalism, anything at all, larceny, anything at all when we can get my hands on so that my family can eat. When you as an individual are put in a box, so to speak, aggression and assertiveness actually kicks in to say, how can I adequately solve this problem? Not thinking about, okay, what are the consequences of this action. We just know that I have to go out there. I'm legitimately have to go out there to also because family can't be hungry, that kind of a thing. And so you find that a lot of those crimes are committed to fill that particular gap. Yes.
Yeah.
Because of a sense of desperation, so on and so forth. And then even when we talk about crime, that's why a lot of persons on the lighter side, that's why a lot of persons even break curfews. You get what I'm saying? Because boy, I better me just go there and try hustle a money somewhere, shape or form, and then me pay a fine for that because whatever, at least me still gonna have some money here, that kind of a thing. So when the pandemic hit, you have your consequences, yes, but also when the curfew is implemented, persons were in a corner. And no, because we not touch uptown people, them me not really know, you know, but I'm saying, who to tell if they weren't online trying to save through their white collar crime? Who to tell if somebody in uptown in a upper St. Andrew I try skim off of somebody bank account, I try for hustle here, there, and whatever, because that is also a part of crime and violence. But it comes back to the principle that I'm backed in a corner. I need something desperately. I don't know where to get it. I am willing to do what is against the law so that I can get it.
Before I run to Ann-Monique, I agree with you, Sosheina, and even though you were hilarious with the opening answer to the question, but it's true. The curfew, the Tanaya, though it was necessary, it was a factor for certain criminal activities to be conducted, and I do believe that the lack of job is a factor for people to go into stealing, and stealing lead to killing. Can me go rap from me? You go try to find me.
Try to say no. Yeah, definitely.
My grandmother uses this Jamaican saying: every liar is a thief, and every thief is a liar and is a murderer. Somebody there in the fan, so turn on the fan. Who that?
Oh, that would be me. Yeah.
Oh, you hot, mama. You hot, my friend. Oh God. But the point is, if I'm trying to rob Ann-Monique look rich and nice, you know. I know, so somebody tell me that right? Somebody tell me that know. Somebody tell me that know say. Somebody tell me that knows that the one look clothes we are wearing, we just wash it and iron it. And you come and we are trying to defend ourselves. It's going to lead to someone dying, and not necessarily saying that some people literally wanted to go out and kill. And this is why psychology is so fun for me, because if you explore certain minds of certain persons, then you do forensic psychology and talk with some of these people, you find out that one, me know what they want to kill him.
Yes.
But in the midst of all of that, and the rush and the adrenaline and the fact that they are retaliating and stuff like that, and me broken in your house and never know say in there. What me I gonna do? Me not gonna make you call police for me, so me broken in your house, never know say in there, me I go broke in your head and stuff like that. There's so many factors psychologically. And
Yes.
Sosheina, as a psychologist, me still come join you here. By next year, I'm supposed to finish that master's there. But as a psychologist, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Jamaica has many psychologists. But we don't have enough psychologists within the legal system. We don't have enough psychologists, I believe, within the police force. So police lock up people go prison, but they have not been the mindset has not been changed. They have not been unlearned and relearned, because we don't have enough psychologists going into the prison system to meet with these people and to try to work out
Rehabilitation is what we call that in the law.
Rehabilitation. I think our problem with that, and again, we have to fast forward to like the solutions and just kind of integrate, because everything kind of mixed up. You cannot until government say mistake. You cannot talk about your construct no crime plan, and you don't have no psychologists on board. You don't have no sociologists on board. You don't have certain persons from different realms on board. You don't have a rehabilitated criminal on board. You get what I'm saying? What are you building? Where your plan, where you have bill, I say you come, we have crime plan and crime plan. Yeah, where your crime plan, I say. If we are living in a society, social psychology now, you're living in a society and the society has a problem and the problem is festering. You have to draw from different areas of the different facets within the society to help to solve that issue. You tell me, say you're gonna make a crime plan and you don't have the mind of a rehabilitated criminal there to tell you about what the choppering mean. We hear the young people them out there saying chopper. What that mean? We have to ask. I was speaking to
tell me what it mean.
chopper people that were the scammers. The scammers. You understand what I'm saying? Chopper. You understand? And chopper has been now glorified. You get what I'm saying? And you have to understand why. And there are so many things, if you'll permit me, but there are so many things when it comes on to crime that we're not taking seriously. You stand and you say, okay, dance hall music is one of the reasons is causing the elevation of like crime and violence and so on. But you're not integrating these individuals in a part of the crime plan. You have an artist named Skeng who make a song where say gunman shift. Right? And when you listen to the lyrics, the man I tell you say, yeah, from your this you have to get dismissed, all them kind of things there. You have a lot of songs nowadays that are talking about scamming. And the young people hearing these songs now will say, boy, I understand scamming and there is nothing that's wrong with scamming, all them kind of things. Those are different things that you have to open up. But I'm saying you cannot just talk about a crime plan from a policy perspective only. You need to come down to understand how they think, because here's the thing. When you think of scamming, you think of it, if you take out the morality of scamming, you look at scamming with the hierarchy is an entrepreneurial move, in order for you to be a scammer and be one of the biggest scammers in Jamaica. It means that you legitimately have to have an entrepreneurial mind. How you're going to get your income, your expenditure, or you're going to turn this, or you're going to pay all of them kind of things there. Yes, so when I say, how is that now going to be integrated in your crime plan? Because when you lock down the scammer with the entrepreneurial mind, who are making money, can tell us, boy, can make a meal in a 2 weeks or so, and you lock them down. You think when you finish with them, they're going to say, well, let's give up the meal and go work a 9 to 5 on a plantation work? Or do you think that they're going to say, let me lose, let me pay the bill, the $300,000, and go back to the scamming? You get what I'm saying? So it's a whole thing that we really and truly have to get into when we're talking about a crime plan and we are talking about fixing the issue of crime. It's not a one-man thing, and it's not a hierarchical thing, and it's not a government thing. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm coming to you, Ann-Monique, but I just want to reiterate. So, Sheena, I love the part where you said we need a
Yes.
rehabilitated person on the
Who you
we
going
need
out
somebody
there to
where
look for?
we need somebody
Huh?
where used to do the crime and no longer do it.
Who you going out there to look for? I
The
was watching a
government.
show long time, long time. I don't remember which one of the Jamaican show, and I get my first joke. The police was coming into the community to do something. I remember which show, so I'm not telling a lie. And the little boy was sitting with an igloo, with some, we look like, where you'd assume, say, like some buckle drinks or something in there. And the little boy could have been about 8 years old in the community. And if the police them are coming, you know, the little boy ball out, red stripe, red stripe. And when him say red stripe, the people them lift up in the community and start scatter. You know what I'm talking about? No red
The
stripe when
stripe
you
on the
drink. The
policeman.
stripe, you
Ah,
understand? And the police
Yeah.
them come thinking them doing a surprise attack. A grown me reach. You get what I'm saying? So you have to understand. The little boy say red stripe, red stripe. You have to understand these things, man. But I forget there, what crime plan you up there, billing? Talk the truth.
uh, and Monique, legal response. COVID has caused the rise of crime and violence in Jamaica. Legally, why you think are some of the factors? And also Sheena touched on a few legal factors as well. I should do some psychological one, but what do you think, being that you are in the legal field?
Oh dear. What are the legal? Go again for me. Ask
What
it again.
what would be some, from a legal standpoint, what would be some of the factors that you believe contribute to the rise of crime and violence during the COVID period? Feel
Well,
like some essay questions, some CXC questions.
because Sosheina answered it quite
So she done answered it. She
fully
answered
a
it
while
very
ago.
well.
You know. The fact is, there were things put in place that gave the government the right and the authority to do what he did in ordering the lockdowns, putting the curfew in place, and it was necessary and all of those things. And jobs were lost, and employers were not out of there. It wasn't, we can't say anything against the employers who may have, what is the word
Really,
again?
people of their jobs.
Yeah, it's that. We can't say anybody who may have sent home some people who were wicked or cruel, because your profit cut right now. Some days, Mondays, Saturdays, Sundays, some business days were totally, we were on complete lockdown. So your profit cut, so you can't stretch it to pay certain people and all of those things. So legally, they were not wrong to say, I'm sorry, Erraldo, you have to go home and all of these things. But it's Erraldo.
I just wanted to throw it in the legal aspect, but Soshina really
Yeah,
answered it
she
though.
answered. She answered.
Um,
They
and
had
I
to do
want to
what
say,
they had to do. Yeah,
and
go ahead.
and I want to say that while I love and respect the police force,
Mhm.
they in this period they were stretched thin. Where the JDF are do. Me feel like say if you pull the JDF out of, because them are trained for World War where we not go in a pull the
I don't
JDF.
know. You must watch CNN. We're about to head there. So who knows? World War
Jamaica,
Three.
Jamaica, but me I said the World War Three where we not go in a, we Jamaica not go in. World War Three between America. Oh God, America, me live. Jesus help me.
Yes,
But
dear. We might
but
be
pull,
together in Jamaica in social media, but we're physically in America right about now.
but pull these, to me, pull these soldiers. Don't just have them have up barricades to for zones of special operation, but pull these soldiers to go and assist. That's just my thing. But we'll hear from the police officer to next week. But Anne-Monique, this one is for you, no, directly for you
Mhm.
as a
Yeah.
legal officer. What are some legal steps and advice that you would give to the government, or what are some legal steps and advice to address or approach crime and violence? You would have stepped up a few earlier, and that would be we need more resources. But what other legal advice would would you suggest? If the government should call and you and say, Mrs. Hutchinson, you are as a legal officer in Jamaica, what are some of the steps that you'd want us to take, or you think we should take to reduce crime and violence in the island?
The first thing I would say is it might cause a little bit of like what? Death penalty. It's not off the books. It's still there.
Power to the
still
people.
There. But I'm not saying everybody has the right to life. But when you take a life, and when I say take a life, you end the life literally, or you hurt that person so badly that they themselves may end up committing suicide. You have taken a life there too. You hurt that person so badly, they're out of their minds right now. Them gone, them insane, them crazy. You took a life right there, because then unfortunately they might not be able to come back to their right mind. So you effectively ended a life right there. So if you are able to end a life in whatever way you end that life, why is it that people are so against ending that offender's life too? When that becomes because I don't see it happening, but I would highly recommend that the death penalty it should be back on the table. It should be used. It should be something that we as prosecutors are saying, all right, my lord, my lady, I will be recommending the death penalty right about now in relation to these offenses. Crime against children. You go in one car and you kill a child who is challenged, and you hurt that child, and then you get arrested and you just sit down in prison for 25 years. And
come out and probably do the same thing again.
And do it again. Or you come out and you turn your life around in whatever way they say turn. Because people can change, but for crying out loud, you kill a child. There has to be stronger penalties put in place as it relates to violent crimes and so on. And until stronger penalties are put in place, then people will not see committing crimes as a big deal. Again, I'll just say again, add more teeth to the laws that are currently in place. Some of them are not all bad. You just need to up the penalties, make the penalties so strict that you don't know if you do this is what is going to happen. They call let us not go to strict liability, but if only some criminal offenses would have strict liability there, but let us not go to that part there. So that's the death penalty. Put more teeth to the laws, hire more prosecutors and pay them better. That's also something that we definitely have. Hire more prosecutors and pay them better. Resources are a big part of what is happening, or of what is happening right now. And when that is sorted out, I believe that things can turn around as it relates to the legal system.
You know, as the theologian on the stream, I should feel offended to hear the death penalty. You know, because we almost, but I actually was going to bring that up in earlier part to say that if we would have had the death penalty as part of dealing with certain issues, would that reduce crime and violence? While I'm not promoting, and I want to make this clear, that we are not promoting killing people, but but I too, and maybe my theology, maybe my whatever needs to be restructured, but I too believe that the death penalty needs to be put on the books as it's not off the books per se legally.
It's not off. Yeah.
But in terms of it needs to be something that is more actioned. Not to say that boy, you rob somebody, your thief one car, you get the death penalty. But no, but you're a you are a serial killer. You kill 10 people. Me not put in a jail for 30 years. Personally, you need to pray for me, Sosheina. You probably need to counsel me after this. But I can't do certain things in the law because Ann-Monique, while the death penalty is something I wouldn't really promote that to them. You kill a child, believe me, I got torture you.
But if I
Pray for my mental state because me I cut off a finger every day and I'm having a doctor right beside me, so me cut off the finger it a sew up because I believe and I don't believe that killing I don't believe that when a police go out, this is my problem that I have with law enforcement, you go out, you find the criminal, you could have not killed the person. But to me, when they shoot the person and give him 10 shots, him not really learn. Him not feel nothing because him dead. Me want you feel where you put other people through. So me not kill him. Me a shot in your leg. Me a shoot in your hand. Me a shoot in your leg. But me gonna drag you through all the hurt that you'd have carried persons through. I believe that because people don't get people see the law, and I love the law, love the legal language. But as Ann-Monique said, it very gummy.
Yeah.
The laws of Jamaica is very gummy.
And if they are stricter, like we know, say, yo, this is what it is. If it is that you commit this particular crime, then we encourage the police force or those who enforce the law to, to do their jobs and do it well. Because I'm a police officer now, me duck bullet and me got this and me stop, drop and roll and me bring in you're under arrest and me read your rights and all of these things. And then a few weeks later, me see you walk past me in the street and commit crime. Me not risk my life to help you because you ain't will do this back again. No, sir. And that's what me see I'm blind and ear and deaf. And sometimes you have to wonder too if the officers, the law enforcers reach one little frustration point because you're bringing me in and then one man walk loose and some man see I'm blind here and there for not seeing anything. Why? You get what I'm saying? So we have to get it. If we're going to fix it in full circle and totality, then we have to make sure I say, yeah, the end makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you see with the death penalty, the death penalty, I think the biggest thing for most people is you might kill the wrong person, right? You might sentence a person wrongfully to death. It might be that the evidence is so strong against the person. Or when the person meant it, because the only reason why you're going to trial is because you say, I am not guilty. You either choose to plead guilty or you plead not guilty. Some people really aren't guilty and they are convicted because of the strength of the case. And that is one of the reasons why people say, the death penalty is not necessarily the best idea. And there is that, and I am aware of that issue and all of those things. But you see, it's not even a choice that you have to make, because you can't choose. You just have to choose, because if you just choose, some people are going to fall victim to it wrongfully. So it's something that you apply wisely and carefully as the judge, as the jury, as the prosecutors. It is not something that you can just raise lightly and say, my lord, I think the death penalty ought to be considered here. The strength of the case must be such that there is absolutely no doubt, none whatsoever, no possibility at all that that person could be innocent. And then you apply the death penalty. And not even what I think about it two times. Don't even dream about it. No nightmare. Probably go preach a sermon the next day too.
Yeah.
It's boy. And Monique, I know you're a busy lady, but I definitely feel like we need to have you back again. I feel like we need to have to go talk to Geraldine. We need a look at the legal system. No man, Sosheina. It's interesting because looking at crime and violence and hearing from the different angles, there's so many things that can be done. But they're not being done. For example, the $100 charge. Prostitution is a crime.
Oh no, take the old laws of the crime. Address them,
what is happening up there? What have you been doing? You graduate a lot of lawyers and law degree students and so on. What you've been doing with them? And then we sit up and we say, oh, we are independent and we are this. And when you look at the little things that we should use to benchmark certain issues and so on, it's not there. We have suffered with domestic violence all along. Where are we on that particular matter? How many more people have to go? And you pick up the gleaner and you say murder, suicide, and this and that, and so on.
Yeah.
Before you call a quick meeting and say, all right, let us do this.
Yeah.
As an independent nation, we should be able to say, all right, let us focus on this within a particular period of time and make it happen. The people who need to make it happen live here. It's not
Yeah.
like, say, you're gone, you have to fly it overseas and wait for people them to sail and ship and pass the iceberg and come here. We're all here, and everybody they on WhatsApp these days, and everybody they on Zoom meeting, so we can all gather and expedite this thing properly. Because we see a crime and get out of control. You're coming up with a crime plan, but you still have the $100 laugh at you. Come on, man.
But
Come
that's
on.
it. Nobody
You know,
revisits these, as Kenisha says, these archaic laws.
yeah.
Yes,
Nobody revisits
nobody.
them.
And then when you go before me Lord and me late, because we're more concerned with the wig that we have to wear.
We
Up in
don't
the
wear it anymore in the name of
no,
Jesus.
miss me happiest man. It could have earned
The,
the
the,
wig earned.
the wig look like a roach living at them. Mr. One at the time. But that's it.
So the wig
Thankfully, we
earned.
don't have to wear it anymore.
Oh, come on, somebody, Lord, hear and answer prayer. But look how long we have been up in a little wig. Right, and the laws are there. Come on, if we say we're going to do a crime plan, man, and we say we're going to reduce crime and violence, we have to take the thing seriously, man, and rope in everybody on board, your probation officers, your correctional persons, and so on. Spend some resources there where it makes sense. And make we say, yo, if a dirt, a dirt. Come on,
You
man.
know, as you
We,
say that, you mentioned earlier, you mentioned the amount of lawyers coming out, graduating and so on. I remember my husband and I had a discussion and we were talking about, making civil or criminal prosecution more attractive to law students from the time they start the University of West Indies, be it here in Jamaica at the Cable campus or wherever else they choose to study law. Make it so that they see the benefit of coming to join the fight against crime. So you go into these schools, and from first year, it's 5 years of study. From the time they have started, make it so that they see the advantages and the benefit of coming on board to become of being a prosecutor, being a legal officer representing the sovereign state of Jamaica, as our Prime Minister said the other day. Make prosecution attractive, because it can be. Make them see that it's not just about going to the private bar and earning as much as you can while you are there. It's also about contributing to your country and the well-being of the citizens in your country. Because the country is Jamaica, and
we live here.
There are so many attorneys. If you go on the General Legal Counsel's website, and you'll see the attorneys who are licensed to practice for the year of 2022. And you go down and you go down and you go down. I spoke to an attorney who is 40-something years at the bar right now. She's never prosecuted on behalf of the government. She spent 42 years of her life defending persons who some of them say, yeah, I committed the crime, but I have a defense. Make it so that people see that there is something that needs to be done about the amount of civil and criminal offenses being committed right across the nation. Make it so that people want to come out and become a part of the Ministry of Finance. Join the Attorney General's chambers. Join the Administrator General's chambers and prosecute matters on behalf of the government. Not because the salary might not be the most attractive, but they have to go into the law, the university, UTech, UE, and then go into law school and put to these law students the relevance of prosecuting offenses on behalf of the government, the relevance of coming on board as a drafter, helping to address these old laws that needs to be addressed. Because there are so many laws on the books, bring people, make it attractive. Make working for the government a little bit more attractive, not just a 9 to 5 where people are there watching over you and you have to write a million reports and all of these things.
It's true.
It's not. You have to make it we are young, and we are modern, and if you don't make things, if you don't make it attractive to people in our age group, then we're not going to do it. We're going to do what it is that seems attractive, and that right now is real. Go out there and do land real
Real
estate
estate
law.
law.
Yeah, real
Yeah,
estate law.
make a 5% or 3% to 5% of
Yeah.
$20 million for one little piece of
Our
cardboard
our
box.
our
True,
business law, because digital and flow ever an argument.
true.
Um
Yeah,
uh,
corporate.
It's
It's not
true.
all about corporate. It's not all about defending. Yes, everybody has the right to legal representation, but everybody has the right to life too. And right about now, it's a little bit of
Serious.
prosecutors against the whole bunch of
of
True,
defense.
defense counsel.
true.
That's the thing. We are literally we out of time long time now, but we thank God we're not upon TVJ yet. And me say yet, so Soshina, because we're going there. We're going. That's the big
Of
thing.
course, we have to go
Um,
there.
but Ann-Monique, you are so right.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a friend of mine. He's literally just coming out of law school and preparing himself to go into the, and me, I love, this might sound very bad, but I love criminal law. And whenever I said to myself, say, Erroldo, you want to try law whenever you finish your theology and psychology degree, I want to be a prosecutor. And but
Okay, I was about to say
interestingly,
you will love it. You will love it. No, because you're not doing it. Until you start doing it, then trust me, I did it for a year and some months, and I left quick and fast.
you left what?
Private
Prosecuting.
practice where I was
Oh,
defending,
private
not
practice. Oh yeah.
prosecuting,
Oh,
where I was
oh,
defending.
private practice.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. I don't. I would do my theology would not help me to do private practice very well,
I
because
tell
some people
you.
just feel like they need to get locked up. But I was talking to that specific friend of mine, and it is not Jamaica's legal system that has me interested to be a
Yeah,
prosecutor. Interestingly, is all
yeah.
the Americanized show when we watch
Law and order.
the Law
Our
and
system is still
no,
not like that, Erroldo.
no, I know, but I'm saying it's all that caused me to say I've never heard the Office of the Public Prosecution in Jamaica coming out and say we need more prosecutors. They've never made prosecution look like something you want to do when you come out of
Want
law,
to
like
do,
you want to stand
absolutely.
up beside Paul Llewellyn. You know, you know, make it look like say you want
Mm-hmm.
to go and be no DPP or no. They don't
It's
make it
bad.
lucrative. It sounds stressful, and every time you hear we go to the court, but we lack evidence. We lack this. We lack that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no interest there. I believe, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, that if we just like all the criminals are making crime looking very lucrative and
Of
Attractive.
beautiful,
course.
Yeah.
so that other people can
Mhm.
join it, I believe the legal system need to do the same. But
Mm-hmm.
here's my final question, and this is where we put the solutions into practice and close
Yeah.
tonight. But here it is. What do you think we can do? I go Ann-Monique first, and then Soshina. What do you think we can do as a people, as citizens, to work with the government and law enforcers to reduce crime and violence in Jamaica? And let me just give you this, because me love throwing my little two pence and me ask a question. Now, I believe this is where me I go use. I'm going to use the word theology inappropriately, but I believe the theology of informer
For dead.
mentality. No, not for dead. The theology of informer mentality
Yeah.
needs to be around. We need more informers, not deading,
Oh,
but
oh
living. We
no!
Not
I
need
thought
die.
you were gonna say the
no.
theology of informer for dead needs to die. I thought that's was where you were going.
That sounds good too, but the theology of having informers, the theology
Mm.
of being an informer, may believe say we need more informer, not
But they need
deading,
to
but
have things
living.
in place for protect the
To
informer. Cause
protect
when we
informers.
inform,
But
but we're like an oil
you know,
fridge. I say
when you
yes,
inform from a
you're
Texas,
yes,
them go
we
fly
lady.
out.
Yeah, so if you piggyback on that, Eraldo, the only way that will become something that is attractive is if people know that their lives are going to be
Yes,
preserved after.
true.
And in this country, that doesn't happen because you can't even trust a shadow.
A
So who
shadow
are
go
you?
talk for you go inform. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so unfortunately, witnesses are hard to come by, and that is what affects prosecutors right there as well. But as to what the citizens and the government together can do, the citizens of Jamaica, they want to be able to trust their government. So they want to be able to see that their government is hard on crime.
Mm-hmm.
And until they see that their government is not particular to any person of any particular status, color, creed, background, or whatever it might be, then the relationship between the citizens, the government, and the criminal activities going on in Jamaica right now, it will never be better. They have to trust the government. They put these people in place. And then in addition to that, we have to trust our guts and not what the politicians say when we're voting as well.
Yeah.
We can't just hear something that sound good. Like, who did ever think that you could live with your doors open in Jamaica at any point? Not even in the country, people don't sleep with their doors. I am from the country, and I don't sleep with my doors open or my windows open. So who really believe that we have to be, as a citizen, wise, open our eyes, and listen and see, not just listen, see what is happening and then vote accordingly. So that is one thing that they can do. And two, the people have to trust the government of Jamaica as well. And that will happen when the government of Jamaica becomes put on a stronger fist as it relates to how they are addressing criminal activities within their own ranks. You know, they have to deal with that. The government also has to go beyond zones of special operation and all of these things. Zozos, I'm not saying Zozos don't have their place, but it has to be more than going, me pass through, me just drive through Zozo and wave and boom, not even whine on the window, me just drive past.
Me drive through them one day when me come from when me come visit. I me say what the purpose military someone say so check it me contraband.
Just sit down on their phones and all of that because it gets exhausting after a while. Yeah, it's more than that. My car is tinted very dark. Nobody not even say wind down the window. Matter of fact, well, I'm not even gonna use that window because it has helped me. But anyways, nobody don't ask me to wind down your windows. If you drive through and I wind down the window because you're supposed to wind down your window when you're driving through the Zozo so that people can see who is in your car and what is in your car and whatever. That is not even being enforced. It has to go beyond going to a particular location and letting the people know that you are there. You have to build relationships as well. You have to, the police, the citizens, the government, the MPs, the councillors, all of these people, you have to build that team and let everybody know that we all have one goal, and that is to see Jamaica not at 1,000 and odd persons being murdered per year. I know that to see zero, it would be a miracle. But back off of the thousands, back off of the hundreds, you know? It takes relationship to do that as well. And also socialization. Monkey really do what they see. Monkey see and monkey do. So as we are raised, as our environment dictates, we're going to do. If we are raised in the inner city communities and we see that it's okay to bonus clip from the time when your eye just there knee, and you're going to grow up continuing to burn this clip. You see, uncle I do it. You see daddy I do it. You see uncle I say, yo, me need the money right now. I walk up to a shop and I say, you have to pay me something right now. You know, the week done, you know, me need my portion. If you see uncle do that and daddy do that, or auntie do that, because don't be fooled. It's not just men who are committing crime in Jamaica. Women are a large part. They've always been, because you know they cook for the criminals. They wash out the blooded clothes, and the mothers plea and say, and my son innocent, knowing that their sons aren't as innocent. So socialization, there has to be a re-socialization of the country, starting with the young people in the country right now. Young men are endangered species right now in Jamaica. You have more young people dying than even the elderly. So you have to address the root of the problem from as early as possible. Make living longer than 20 years attractive. Make avoiding gangs. Sometimes it's hard, because when you're in an inner city community, sometimes it's the only way for some people to survive. If you don't join it, you're dead. It has to be that the government can do more than they are doing right about now. I'm not saying they're not doing anything, but we want to see more. And that's my final take on this.
Jumping to you, Sosheina, thank you so very much, Ann-Monique. Ann-Monique, I wonder if Ann-Monique became a social psychologist, because when she brought up Bronfenbrenner's ecological system, the macro system, the people closest to you, they impact, monkey see, monkey do, the people closest to you. But this is one thing I'll say before Sosheina. When the Zozo started, they were effective. When a thing is exhausted, it has no purpose anymore. Because I remember when it had just started, me used to cuss and say, how much time I go wind on my window, I'm not going to pull my trunk, and me have all of them ID, and me have my government ID, me have my media ID, me have a thief, me have a criminal. No, me just drive through and I say, what go on? Sometimes I have to stop to police and say, oh, now work today? Literally, my mom used to hear driving with me when I come home. I stop and say, oh, now work today? I don't understand. But Sosheina, go ahead. Your response. What can we do as a citizen to work with the government to reduce this crime?
I think, trust me, I think Ann-Monique really and truly covered all facets of the opinions and where it is that we need to go as a people. We can't have the contribution of the citizens if it is that we don't have a government that we can trust, and so we have to kind of just mash up all of the immoral and amoral things that are happening from the top all the way down. We have to get, and she had mentioned something previously, and what stuck out in my mind, or what came to me, was when you are saying the prosecutors need to know that they can make this contribution to their society. What I got was that part in our thing that says in our pledge that says advancing the welfare, play your part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. And we have to kind of mash up everything, morals and values, and kind of iron it out properly so that we know that this is a society, this is our society that we pretty much live in, and everybody has to play their part. Legally, psychologically, even just as a civilian citizen, it doesn't matter. We're all a part of one system, and we have to be guided by certain moral principles. It doesn't matter if the religion that you're a part of or so on, right are right and wrong are wrong. And anytime you decide that you're going to do something in school, it should be presented in such a way that you'd want to come back and serve your government or serve your country without feeling as though you are cheated and so on. And same way, so even living here, I want to make sure I say the country is safe and secure. So if you do something wrong, is either me going to go get your counseling, or me is going to call the police and get the police involved and so on. We have so many resources within the confines of Jamaica. We have a lot of persons in the legal systems, bright, educated, intelligent. We have a lot of psychologists, sociologists. We have a lot of media people and so on. So we have the solution right here within our country, but we have to get real about what the problem is. We have to scrape off our immorality and decide that we're going to play fair. We have to get to the point where the government begin with themselves, start clean them cabinet up there. The politicians and the criminals need to come out of bed together, spread up in bed, and go their separate direction. Because when you are caught in a problem or a situation, it can't be that you're an easy access to call because you have been wrapping up. Everybody who decides that they're going to take up a seat of governance or something must be operating within a particular principle. And like you said, and like I've been saying, that what the consequence for the behavior is, it needs to be so harsh, or it needs to be so reinforced that people know that once them do something wrong, then they will automatically be punished. It's a simple Skinner kind of a formula. Behavior that is punished tends to die out. Behavior that is reinforced tends to continue. You know what I mean? And we get everybody on that, so that once we have that plan in place, once we understand the moral structure, once we understand the consequences of the behavior or the rewards of certain behavior, such as if you come forward with information, and we have that safe and secure culture, then what's going to happen is that people are going to start to be fridge and start for ball out. See him there? Is him thief the rat nut? Is him thief the rat nut? I don't feel no way about it, because you know that you are
Yeah.
playing your part. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. And we are at the end. Boy, this was a very insightful conversation, very insightful discussion. I've learned a lot. You get, boy, and Monique, use a legal officer slash psychologist in your responses. Thank you so very much for being a part. Crime and
Okay.
violence is a raising is it's not a new phenomenon. It's not new to us. But
Yeah.
it's something that, as Soshina rightfully said, and you as well, and Monique, we have the people, we have the brains, we have the knowledge. The government just need to pull on these people. Stop make crime plan and strategies without the necessary involvement of psychologists and I dare to say theologians and
Yes,
sociologists
man.
Mm-hmm.
and legal
Mm-hmm.
officers, so that we
Mm-hmm.
can get a fully rounded, and nobody's, I'm not saying other government system is perfect, because I am currently in Texas, and there's some hooplas here. There are no police officers to pull you out on the road in Dallas. The Dallas police officers, they don't care unless you have drugs. You could speed, crash. There's a crash. There's an accident almost every day. We had a winter storm yesterday, and my friend called me today and told me the amount of car he's seeing on the roadside, dent up, damage, push
Wow.
over, drop off a cliff. The police don't care, but make somebody have weed or stuff. But that's when they care. But we need to focus on some really serious issues. Next week, we'll be talking with superintendent of police. You'll find out who he is, coming to talk about the same topic of crime and violence, but from the standpoint now of being on the grounds,
Yeah.
arresting these criminals. While Ann-Monique talked to us about when the criminal get arrested, what the legal system can do, now we're going to find out about arresting these criminals. And this will help us to answer Debbie McFarlane had a question. We can't answer it now. How can the death penalty reduce the murder rate when the perpetrators cannot be caught? And you quoted B.F. Skinner by saying, look here, crime being punished or behavior being punished will stop. That's
Mhm.
one way. But to catch
Yeah.
the perpetrators, next week we're gonna find out how we're gonna catch them and give some
Yeah.
suggestions. Thank you so very much again, attorney at law Ann-Monique Bailey-Hutchinson and counseling psychologist Sosheina Whyte. Until we meet again, this is Friday night discussion. I give you greetings on behalf of our clinical psychologist and resident host Geraldine Garwood, who will
Geraldine.
be with us next week. I am having winter problems and she having internet issues. I'm very cold right now, so I'm going to turn on my heater. I'm gonna wrap up in my blanket. Until we meet again, have yourself a great rest of the night and a
All
wonderful
right.
weekend. Take
All
care.
right. Good night. Good night. Take care.